Hello and welcome back to Heart of the Holte, back with another video. I'm joined by my good friend Ryan Pitcher. How you doing, mate?
Hello, you alright, mate?
I'm doing all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah. Well, now we're back in the Premier League. I'm absolutely delighted.
That little cash injection will do us nicely. What a day it was yesterday. Obviously, I think you guys will be watching this 2 days after the final. It still hasn't really sunk in for me that we're in the Premier League, mate. It's what we've completed our mission in the Championship. We've got out.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought it in February? When we were, mid-table, struggling a bit, and yeah, Monday was just an absolutely brilliant day. I'm still a little bit hanging, still a bit of a headache, but no, it's a brilliant day out. Everyone enjoyed themselves and great atmosphere, and it's just great to see the togetherness of the squad, and at the end, obviously lifting the trophy. And yeah, my voice is only just coming back, and I'm just absolutely buzzing.
Is there a better way to spend your bank holiday watching the Villa in the sun in the capital? Not too far for you to travel, obviously, mate. So I can imagine
Uh,
that was a good sesh for you afterwards.
yeah, I mean, it's just a shame that it went on the Saturday or the Sunday. I mean, on the Monday, I'm sure plenty of us had to go back to work, like myself, and today, Tuesday, and yeah, I just wish it was on the Saturday like it was last year. But obviously, much better result than last year. So yeah, it was a great day out.
3 day bender would have been nice. Absolutely amazing day out. But I think one thing we should touch on before we get into things is something that I think kind of slipped under the radar, perhaps due to the result. A very small minority of Villa fans trashing one of the Derby fan buses. Not very great, is it, mate?
No. Yeah, no. From what I gather, it was a very small minority, and there were the large portion of people. I wasn't there myself, but apparently it was near the Green Man, and apparently some fans did go across to have a go at the ones that were smashing up the Derby coach. Yeah, that's correct. But yeah, not in the name of me, and certainly not in the name of the majority, if not 99.99% of the fan base. So.
And some good has come out of this. As Yorkshire Lions Dave, one of our good friends here at Heart of the Holte, has actually set up a Just Giving donation page, which has had an overwhelming response. I'm really surprised. I think he said he needed around 25 grand for the repairs, which is just an astronomical figure. We've reached, as of recording, £3,600, which is amazing. So we will plug that in the description. Go and donate because it's a nice thing to do. I mean, we've seen Liverpool smash up buses and stuff like that, and it doesn't exactly cover the fan bases in glory. So at least we can kind of play our part to make things right.
Absolutely.
Now, coming into the game, Ryan. Oh, hang on. There we go. Coming into the game, what were you feeling? Because I've just done a video yesterday, and honestly, I didn't actually have that much time to think about the final because I've been so busy sort of in the run up, and it didn't really sink in until you're on Wembley Way. Oh my God, we could have a repeat of last year. Going into the game, were you confident? Because we spoke a bit before about it as well together.
Yeah. No, I was quietly confident. I've said in the build up in podcasts on the radio and my Sky Sports piece that I was very confident going into the game against Derby. And yeah, I mean, it didn't throw up any surprises, to be honest. I don't think we played brilliant. I don't think Derby offered too much, to be honest. And yeah, I think I was always confident, and but yeah, confidence only goes so far, until that full time whistle goes and you've got the win and you're up. But no, I was confident, and thankfully we got the job done.
Anwar El Ghazi, the man of the moment, scoring the opening goal in front of the Derby fans. I had a sneaking suspicion before the game. I was saying to my dad, around the ground on the day, I've got a feeling this is Anwar's day. He's a big game player. As I've said, he's played in the Champions League, Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain. It's been no problem for this guy. I don't think anything phases him. And I think a lot of people need to realise he's been doing this during Ramadan as well. And I know he broke his fast for the game, but what a performance from the man.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. I don't think he hit it cleanly. Well, it struck I don't know, it just seemed to hit his back. I mean, it looked like a great bullet header in real time, and against
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, that wasn't as good as what I first thought. No, but plaudits, hats off. I mean, to be doing it while you're fasting as well. As you say, I know he broke his fast in the run up to the game, but I work with a lot of people who are fasting, and hats off to them. But yeah, he stepped up, and I was very pleased for him. Obviously, he played a pivotal role in the second goal as well. It was a bit of a poor shot which deflected, but it's practically an assist. And so yeah, I was glad that he stepped up, and credit the man. As you say, he was in his younger time, at his time at Ajax, he was rated as one of the best up and coming youngsters across Europe. And
Yeah.
it just seems that he's lost his way a little bit, and he's obviously come here, and he's hit and miss. I get that, but at times, he shows glimpses of incredible ability. He's got it in his locker. Hopefully, we've seen glimpses. If he does stay, that we see more of it.
I hope so, mate. And obviously, with such an amazing price to bring him back, I believe around €4 million. I think even if we have lost this game, we'd have been stupid not to have exercised that option.
Yeah, no, it's maybe a bit of a gamble. You might want to call it that. But yeah, as you say, for that kind of price in today's game, it's a steal, really. He's what, 24 years, just turned 24. He's still got plenty of football to play, and even if things didn't work out, which fingers crossed and touch wood, that weren't to happen, and do go well for him, it is would still get the money that we recouped. I'd like to think.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be a guy, especially in the Premier League, because I think he's that kind of silky player, which kind of suits it. He's pacey, he's got a bit of a turn of pace about him. As you say, sometimes it's about consistency, but when this guy rocks up, he is absolutely on it. And I've likened him on the channel before in terms of physicality and stature to Cristiano Ronaldo. The way he carries himself.
Yeah, he's got that kind of, the goal against West Brom earlier on in the season, when he did that celebration, and yeah, he carries himself a little bit like Ronaldo. Obviously, certainly, maybe a no frills knockoff version of Ronaldo, but we've seen it. He has got it in his locker. He just needs to, get his head down, and there's definitely a really good, decent player in there. So yeah.
And another person I think we should talk about, Ryan, another goal scorer, John McGinn. I mean, watching that goal back, how did that even happen? Kelly Roos had an absolute nightmare, didn't he?
Yeah, in the second half, the guy was all over the gaff, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Deserved man of the match, and yeah, God, if you're the Derby goalkeeper there, you've had an absolute mare. But yeah, no, he was all over the park. He definitely deserved a goal, and he definitely deserved his man of the match performance. And the adulation that he's got after that. How many renditions of "We've Got McGinn" I did yesterday. I just don't know, but yeah, no, hats off. What a steal for the price tag that we've got him in at, and I'm sure Hibs will be happy. Obviously, I believe they've got something written in his contract, so with promotion they get a bit of extra money. So yeah.
I hope so. I almost feel bad for getting him for as cheap as 2.5 million. Again, talking about 4 million for El Ghazi, 2.5 million for John McGinn has to be buy of the season. And I think that for me, coming into the summer, obviously before the final, things were said in interviews about we're having two different sort of approaches. We're planning for the Premier League, yet also life in the Championship. If the worst thing was to happen and we did lose yesterday's game, do you think that with obviously the unlimited sort of money that we could have from this Premier League, rich owners in Edens and Nazareth, do you think that we're going to still try and find these diamonds in the rough, or do you reckon we're going to be spending big money?
Well, I think it's important that we don't go and do a Fulham, and spend silly. It's all about spending wisely. I do think, to a degree, we've seen what Dean Smith obviously did on Brentford with a budget. Is he'll still kind of it'll still go for that approach. Probably, obviously, it has to be a lot more high-profile approach to the targets that we're bringing in. Well, no, absolutely, it shows that you don't have to go and spend tens and tens of million on a player. You know, you're talking about John McGinn. Had we not gone up, you know, he's already been linked with a 20 million move to Leicester City. You know, so I think he will adopt the approach of bringing in players that are worth the penny, but at the same time with that thing in the back of his head that if, for example, things don't go according to that, they still hold the resale value. That's the way that the club's got to go, because you've seen what's happened, over the past few years, and still we've got players on the books that we wouldn't want there, and they're costing us a pretty penny.
Of course, and obviously we can't talk about transfers and approaches without talking about some of the loan players. We've touched on Anwar and how we'd like to exercise that option to buy. Obviously, we've got Tyrone Mings, who arrived at Bournemouth train station in his full kit with his medal this morning. We've got Tammy Abraham. There's a lot to be said about that transfer. Some people aren't quite convinced he can cut it in the Prem. Obviously, the problems with Chelsea and their transfer ban also. Axel Tunzabi, is he going to be coming back? And obviously, Courtney House, who's someone who potentially a bit of a forgotten man, because he did play his part, but he's been sort of absent until his little cameo in the final. Are these players that you think realistically we can get back, whether it is on a permanent or a loan basis?
Yeah, I mean, going through them, I think Tuanzebe is part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans going forward, and why I want to be has done really well at the club. So, and I think he would cost a fair bit. I don't think that's a realistic target. Would I love to see him back? Of course I would, but I just can't see it myself. Tyrone Mings is obviously has to be a given. I mean, the guy, he's only been here a few months, and he can really write his name in history here at Villa. He's the next Melberg for me. So hopefully we can tie him up. But Courtney House, as you say, I mean, when he first came and he played that game left back at Brentford, I thought, geez, what we've signed here. But he grew into the season when he got going at centre half, and he's been missing the last few games. I'll be intrigued to see where that goes. Obviously, I reckon we can get him on a cheap. So we'll see where that one goes. As for Tammy. It's one of those. It's kind of, he didn't do a lot at Swansea when he was there in the Premier League, and as you say, a lot of fans are doubtful of his kind of scoring goals to kind of chance conversion rate. And do I think Tammy Abraham's worth 25-30 million? I don't know. I think that's a squeeze, but maybe at the right price. But looking at forwards, look, you'd probably think Kodge's time is coming to an end, and regardless, we're going to have to bring in probably 2 or 3 forwards, and we know that strikers that hit the back of the net, they cost a lot of money. So
yeah. I think the thing with Tammy is you've got to, if there is a possibility to sign him, it's gonna take Chelsea a lot to want to let go, because he's a homegrown talent that counts for a lot, especially in UEFA for the Champions League, Europa League competitions. Obviously, the fact they can't sign players, and I guess what the 30 million, 25, whatever it is, equates to is his potential, because obviously not many 21-year-olds are worth that much. No disrespect at all intended to Tammy. The man has broken records for Villa, smashed them. But I think it's fair to say he could have done better, and that's saying a lot for a guy who scored 26 goals.
Yeah, well, I think the difference being is, I mean, we've seen him do it in the Championship before with Bristol City and such, but like the difference being is it that between the Premier League chances, are at a premium when you're a fox in the box, so to speak, in the Premier League. And I mean, if he had taken all the chances that he had at Villa, he could have been a 50-goal man as opposed to 6-goal man. So a club that aren't obviously going to be, I suspect, not pushing up the higher reaches next season of the Premier League. I mean, I would love it if they did, but I can't. I'd say chances at a premium. You need someone who's going to bag you, 15, 20 goals. Even in the Premier League, we need a 15-goal striker. To be competitive. Is he a 15-goal man in the Premier League? It remains to be seen, but it's one to keep, certainly to keep tabs on.
Do you think that, maybe 20 million of that 30 is better spent on a Neil Maupay type striker? Do you think he can bridge the gap between the Championship and the Premier League better than Tammy perhaps could?
But this is the thing. I mean, it's still a gamble. It's still a gamble. I mean, the problem being is a proven Premier League goal scorer, and particularly one that's in his prime is going to cost an absolute fortune, probably well out of our price range, and it's going to be a competitive market. As we refer back to what Dean Smith did do at Brentford, and obviously Neil Maupay he brought in as well from over in France, is we have to trust Smith in the transfer market. For all we know, he could go get someone from Timbuktu that we've never heard of, and he could end up being an absolute gem. But I think it's, the fan base have to be realistic. And if we are bringing in players that, potentially aren't fancied or aren't a household name, we've just got to trust Dean to get on with it. And hopefully, as I say, he's proved it elsewhere on a smaller budget, and hopefully he does the same here, but, sees us grow as a Premier League club.
100%, mate. And I think, as we've touched on in terms of the transfers, for me, I don't think we need to add a lot. I think the loan signings need to be tied up, all, if not most, if possible. And then for me, you don't really need to add too much to the squad because it's a gamble. Although Smith plays this amazing brand of football, and we can all hope that we stay up, and that is realistically the objective. It's not a top half finish; it is stay up. To try and add maybe one or two players, similar to like what Wolves have done. If you can get one sort of top class, not necessarily world class, but top class winger or central midfielder, that can be the difference in a lot of games in the Premier League. And I think we've seen that with the additions of João Moutinho, Jimenez at Wolves, especially.
Yeah, well, I reckon we need a lot, to be honest. I say that because referring to when we were speaking before, we've let a lot of youngsters go. A lot of players are on loan as well, and a lot of players are coming to the end of the contracts. Yedinat, Whelan, etc. And I doubt they'll be offered, another deal. I believe we need to add an awful lot to our team. I think we need, if we're looking at strength and depth, I think left back is certainly one, and as you say, the wide areas, I don't think, I love Albert, but I don't think he's a Premier League player. And Andre Green hasn't pulled up trees since he come back, to be honest. And so, yeah, I think we need to add, a great deal in there. I think the central midfield wise, I think we're relatively strong, and obviously I think it's important that Lansbury gets pre-season, a decent pre-season under him, because there is a player in there as well. So I think central midfield wise we're strong. Wingers and certainly left back and strikers, I think we're really, really short, and we need something in there.
I definitely agree, mate. But I think a part of me as well, I hope that we don't, as you say, go and do a Fulham, because I do feel a lot of these players, obviously some out of contract, not really a lot been said on that. But I think the players that got us up deserve a crack of keeping us up.
Yeah, there's always that flip side to the argument, but I do think the core, as you say, the core is there for that to happen. When we say do a Fulham, they just spunked a lot of their money off, to be honest. On it's like QPR a few years ago. They were handing contracts out willy-nilly, and you can fall into a trap, and that's what they've done. It's all about spending our money carefully. As I say, the core will be there from this season, but there's still plenty of areas that we need to certainly add to if we're going to be competitive in the Premier League.
And finally, Ryan, as we've sort of touched on just then, where realistically do you see Aston Villa finishing next season? I know predicting the Premier League is an absolute nightmare and people hate doing it because when you look back on it, you're always wrong. But what for you would you define as a successful first season returning to the top flight for Aston Villa?
Well, I think it's going to be a progressive journey, to be honest. And so, as you say, it's very, very difficult at these early stages before, we've only just got promoted. But, I think obviously staying up is the main objective. It has to be for our first season. I'm very optimistic based on what, the owners are saying and what Perslow's saying, that, they're here for the long run, and, it is going to be a progressive journey. Staying up, yeah. I'd like to see us push, maybe, 12th, 14th. That'll be to me, that's a respectable finish in our first season. But yeah, let's see what the summer brings, and hopefully, as I say, we do add that strength and depth, and we can give it a good go and try and push towards mid-table.
Hopefully, mate, and I'm just so looking forward to seeing the Premier League return down to Villa Park. I will miss the Championship. It's been A roller coaster of 3 seasons in the division, but I'm absolutely ecstatic to get out of it, and we'll have plenty more content coming out over the summer for you guys, preparing for life in the Premier League. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more. Ryan, any final words from you?
No, I'm just delighted, and to be honest, I just need to, this hangover, I need to sleep it off.
So we'll let you get to that, Ryan. As I say, guys, if you enjoyed, like, comment, and subscribe, and up the Villa.
Chester's essential to fulfilling this got potential. It's a main man, a hero. He's the main leader of the gang. Chester.